Support for Up First Winter Games comes from NPR sponsor Allianz Travel Insurance. Get ready to give ordinary the cold shoulder with protection for adventures that give you the best kind of chills. Learn more at allianztravelinsurance.com.
A scandal is rocking the world of ski jumping. Just a few weeks ago, the body that oversees the sport handed down an 18-month suspension to two coaches and the equipment manager of Norway's ski jumping team. The crime? A few extra stitches in the crotch of their athletes' ski suits. Yeah. Here to discuss is NPR science correspondent Jonathan Lambert. So, John, crotch stitching. I would not have guessed I'd be talking about this.
Yeah. So last year at the Nordic Ski World Championships, these three Norwegians were secretly recorded, adding in these extra seams into the crotch area of some of their athletes' suits, effectively making them a little bit bigger.
So why? Why would they be doing this? And what do they look like, too? Because I'm dying to know what they look like.
Yeah, so they're like skin-tight, kind of stretchy suits. The Norwegians ones were all black. And in ski jumping, the suits are measured before the competition to make sure that they're really skin-tight. And these coaches, after that measurement, but before the competition, they added in these few extra little seams.
Like they can be seen from the naked eye?
Not really.
Naked eye, too. I'm using all the entendres, I suppose.
You couldn't really tell the difference looking at them, and the athletes themselves say that they didn't notice or didn't know about it. But when the video was posted anonymously, it caused this huge scandal.
Okay. And are these slight alterations, or are they like actually kind of big ones?
Yeah, it's very slight. You can really not notice, but it is enough to potentially make a difference.
Okay, so that's exactly what I want to know about, because I don't understand how little alterations can make such a big difference.
Yeah, so it comes down to basically physics, specifically gravity, drag, and lift. So in ski jumping, the whole point is to try to maximize the amount of time that you're in the air so you can go as far as you can. Right. That starts when they're going down the ramp. They want to go as fast as they possibly can to launch themselves off. Okay. So they get into this super tight tuck because air, like literally air molecules, are kind of like their enemy. They're pushing them as they go down the ramp. And so they tuck down and try to minimize the amount that they're pushing them to gain as much speed as they're going off the ramp.
So all of it, and I guess a lot of other Olympic sports operate in the same way. It's all about minimizing that resistance.
Yes, yeah. But once they leave the ramp, air becomes kind of almost like a frenemy. So it's still their enemy. It's still their enemy as they're going forward because it's pushing them. And so that's why they're kind of like splayed out and they try to get almost as horizontal as they can to the ground to minimize that forward air resistance. But the second they leave the ramp, they're also fighting gravity. And in that respect, air is kind of like their friend because it's pushing them up. The air molecules are pushing them up, providing a little bit of lift. And the amount that the air pushes them up depends on sort of their overall surface area.
Yeah, so like a glider is what we're talking about. Like
a glider. Yeah. So the air molecules are kind of pushing up on the skier, keeping him in the air. And the more the skier can maximize that surface area, the farther they can go.
I'm a little skeptical because it just seems like it doesn't make sense that a little bit more fabric can have that much of a difference. I mean, would it make that much of a difference? I mean, I guess so, but it's hard to comprehend.
It is hard to comprehend, but scientists have addressed this question with a bunch of experiments. So they did all these tests in wind tunnels and on actual ski jumps where they tested out like very small alterations in the ski suit, adding like a couple of inches. And they found that effectively adding just like a half an inch to the circumference of the suit could translate into jumps that were like almost 10 feet further. And in the grand scheme of a ski jump, they're going like as far or further than a football field. So it doesn't seem like a ton, but 10 feet could mean the difference between making the podium or going home empty-handed. And so there's a lot of pressure to maximize every inch or foot.
Sounds like it is. Are officials taking maybe extra precautions or kind of taking a closer look to make sure that in light of that scandal that this doesn't happen again?
They are taking extra steps. So they're doing more intensive kind of 3D measurements of the athletes in their suit beforehand. And they're installing these like little microchips into the suits themselves that can tell officials if they've been tampered with. And so it is kind of a lot for a ski jumping competition, but it's all to make sure that it's the athlete's skill and not their suits that are keeping them up in the air and jumping so far.
Imagine having to explain to kids later on why you were disqualified from the Olympics.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
That's NPR science correspondent Jonathan Lambert. Jonathan, thanks.
Thanks.